Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another SPFBO or SPFBO 9 author live panel. It's the first one we've done in a couple weeks. Thank you for bearing with us while we waited. I'm so excited because we got two blogs represented today. We got Covers with Cassidy represented today. We've got Bookborn represented today. I'm not in either of your blogs with you, but super excited to chat with you. For those who don't know, SPFBO is the self-published fantasy blog off. It's put together by Mark Lawrence every year, and this is the 9th year of it. 300 authors submitted a self-published fantasy book for consideration by 10 blogs. So those 300 authors are split among 10 blogs, 30 each. And that's really what these blogs are. So if you're new to the panels, you don't know what we're talking about, don't worry, a lot of us are new too. But we're going to just meet a whole new group of authors today. So why don't we go around? AE, you want to kick us off? Just tell us a little bit about yourself, what kind of fantasy you write, and what book did you put in SPFBO?
Sure. I am a fantasy thriller author. So I love anything along that genre, but I'm a huge history buff as well. So I always find a way to work some sort of historical event or something in the midst of it. I like to make them as believable as I can, or plausible as much as you can with magic and fantasy and all of that. The book I did, let's see if I can show it, is probably backwards for you guys. It's Battle for Neverland. And this one is my debut book, although I have a few other series kind of simultaneously in the works at the moment. And it is a continuation of J.M. Barrie's original, and it's a little bit darker, and it's exploring more of kind of, well, what happens when you've got a pirate stuck in Neverland for hundreds of years who wants his revenge. And so it's exploring the themes of forgiveness and revenge and reconciliation, and kind of going very deep in the world building and deep into all the character arcs and what happens with all that as they look for the missing Wendy Darling. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and it's been fun to be a part of SPFBO.
Yeah, so this is your debut. So this is your first SPFBO.
So yes, so this is my first. I heard about SPFBO very last minute, and so I think I was up till 2 a.m. kind of figuring out what it was the night before, and then trying to get everything ready and get on. So it's been a whirlwind. I wasn't sure what to expect. I think I've been amazed with what an incredible, I wasn't prepared for the community side. I thought this was just and then I just check out and leave. And I was thrilled to see that it was so much more than that. It has made it a lot more fun. I'm on every day, like trying to see what people are doing and looking at all the books, which are incredible. So
who else has this as their first live or first SPFBO?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of newbies, not just me. Yay. Well, good to have you on. And Belinda, welcome. It's so good to meet you as well.
Good morning, in my part of the world at least. Yeah, I am science fiction fantasy author. I'm a chronic genre hopper. So this is my first book I entered, Demons and Battle Skirts, my first full-length fantasy work. And it's a dark urban fantasy. There aren't any werewolves or demons in this one. There is werewolves or vampires. There is interdimensional demons, and yeah, warriors running around in short skirts fighting said demons with school lives and other things going on. It's I tend to write very action packed, very kind of very loose with the facts. So this is why I like the science fiction fantasy genre. I can bake stuff up. Yeah.
Rob, hi.
Hello. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I'm terrible with time zones.
And with the introduction of Rob to the panel, this is officially the largest panel I have ever hosted on a live stream. So thank you, Rob, for being here. Nathan, how about you? So is this your first SPFBO?
Yeah, it's my first in my debut novel. I entered it not really having any idea what a big deal it was and how involved it is. And so I've been really amazed by the activity around it. And, I expected to just join and then kind of forget. And yeah, it's not been that at all. And this is my debut novel also. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. I've done other contests and I was like, oh, I'm just going to put it in. And then, at the end, I'll find out whether or not I placed. And like Belinda and AE were saying, just being here in the community has been like, wow. But Nathan, what kind of fantasy did you enter this year?
I entered an epic fantasy, which is most of what I write, and it's called Summoning a Sacrifice, my debut novel. And it's about a young woman who joins a quest to find a long-lost god who can save her city from being destroyed. So it's got a fair amount of action, drama, and it's really exciting. The second one is coming out at the end of July, so a lot going on.
Congratulations. So if anybody's wanting to read any of these books, the links are in the description box. But if you start with Nathan's, then you don't have to wait so long for book 2. You can just read all of them and
It's a good time.
flow into the next one. Yes. Jamie, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know the time differences and everything for everybody are a lot. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your fantasy?
Yeah, I'll do the obligatory holding the book up.
I love that cover so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, so that's An Inheritance of Ash and Blood. This is actually my third SPFBO. So I think Rob's the veteran of the group, but I'm getting there. And my book this year's it's medieval fantasy, so it's very much a medieval setting with magic, rather than a fantasy setting, I would say. It's probably the slowest paced book I've written. There's quite a lot of there's young characters which I've never written before. My first series with kind of coming of age themes. So it's a new departure for me in terms of the series. My first series is quite pure epic fantasy, and my second series was a humorous fantasy series. So yeah, I'm used to SPFBO taking part, but each time I have taken part, it's got bigger, better. I remember the first time I entered, lots of books, didn't get read to the end. People might have read a few chapters, and it was very much the kind of early days, and there was no real expectations from authors beyond just, when I first did it was just to meet other people, really. But yeah, the amount of attention it gets these days is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And this year you've got a lot of other epic and dark and medieval style fantasies. So as far as having been in the other years with the other sort of subgenres, how are you feeling this year going in?
Yeah, well, I think the great thing about SPFBO is just the variety of books that are entered. They all come under the fantasy umbrella, but the which is the great thing. I mean, I never sort of enter it in terms of, I think everyone's perhaps got different expectations for their books, but I think because I know my book's fairly niche in terms of it's going to have its people who are going to be into it, but it's going to have people who maybe find the historical, the medieval side too much, and it's not necessarily as direct and action packed as some other stuff. So I've not got any great expectations of on that side, but it's just sort of, that's part of the fun, really. There's so many books to kind of look at, so many people with there's the traditional stuff, there's the off the wall stuff, urban, epic, people blending genres. Yeah, I think this first phase is just everyone looking at each other's books, looking at the covers, and just sort of admiring what everyone's come up with, really.
Yes. And we have MT Zimney. Welcome. I hope I pronounced your last name right. Right. I'm sorry.
Zimney, like chimney, but with a Z. Yeah, hi, I'm MT Zimney. I actually write young adult superhero fantasy. So my entry is beta. It is my debut, but I finished the trilogy in December. So all 3 books are out, which is really exciting. It was my COVID project. So I wrapped it up just in time to have my first baby. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. But Beta is about a high school girl with no superpowers. Her roommate gets kidnapped and she decides to get her back. She's going to try to join the secret superhero team that she's uncovered at her high school. I think what's been really fun about it is people go, oh, that's not fantasy, that's sci-fi, but it's definitely fantasy. I like to say it's a magic system wrapped up in a mask and cape. There's elements to it that are, I can't talk about because they're spoilers. But if you like Vikings, check it out. No, she does not get superpowers is the other thing. Everyone always asks, like, oh, that's the big twist, right? She gets superpowers? No. She gets her butt kicked throughout all 3 books because she has no superpowers. So.
Oh, I love that twist, having a normal human being in the middle of a superhero book.
Yes. She does her best, and her best isn't very good.
And people can go ahead and binge read. And Beta is a thick book, too.
It is. But I've been told it goes down easy. Again, it's YA. It's pretty fast-paced because I have a short attention span. So I'm going to write books for other people with short attention spans. I had the local Barnes & Noble seller. She read all 3 of them individually in a day. She didn't do all 3 in a day, but like one day for Beta, one day for Delta, one day for Epsilon. So I'm like, okay. Like they're huge and that puts people off sometimes, but like they're easy, fast reads. So
gotta have some of those.
Yeah.
So Rob, the resident veteran for this panel, how many times have you done SPFBO now?
I think this is 5. I think this is my 5th. I don't know. I always forget. I didn't enter the first one. I know that one. I missed the first year because I had no idea what was happening. And then the second year, I entered a random little book I had, and I don't think it was the right time for it. It was a little steampunk fantasy heist thing, which everybody was like, no, we want grimdark at that time of the sort of like the competition. I was like, no, here, have this stupid romancy fantasy steampunky thing, which did not do well. But yeah, no. So anyway, I'm Rob J. Hayes. Hi, and I've been in this competition many times. And the book I'm entering this year is called Pawn's Gambit, which is the second book in the Mortal Techniques series of standalone books, which is sort of very much based on Asian mythology and martial arts. And then I kind of had this stupid idea of what if I took Journey to the West and mashed it up with Clash of the Titans. And it turned into Pawn's Gambit. So I thought, yeah, that sounds like a fun book to try and enter to see how it does. But I think most of it is just it's being part of the community again every year. It's just it's such a great little community or growing community at this point, to be honest. To just be part of and to meet other authors and also readers and bloggers and everyone.
Yeah. And I'm so excited. I have to ask. Some of these blogs have done this before, and some of them, this is their first time. What are you feeling, Rob, about the process this year? About how here we are 17 days from the original start, and there have been very few cuts, and already a semifinalist put out. Like, is this sort of a new approach this year?
I don't think so. I think it quite often takes a while to really get off the ground. I think a lot of the blogs, they like to try and space things out to sort of like increase engagement, I guess, and all of that lot. So I think it will come in spurts. We'll have a little bit of silence at the beginning, and then soon we'll just start getting lots of reviews coming in, and hopefully lots of semi-finalist announcements and stuff. Because I think that's part of it as well. These is the first time I entered, they didn't do semi-finalist. There was just sort of like the occasional sporadic post, and then here's your finalist for this blog. Whereas this time there's a lot more enthusiasm, excitement around it, as they're like, this is us, our first semi-finalist, and it gives more of the books a chance to be in the spotlight, which it's always a good thing.
Yeah, and so both of your blogs, Bookborn and Covers with Cassidy, have already started posting updates. And for those who have not already followed Mark Lawrence's blog, I have the link in the description box. You can follow it there to see those updates, but I've been following just the reviews that Mark's been sharing on there. And how do you guys feel about the books that you're in with, the blogs that you're in? This is like, especially for the first timers, I know it was very overwhelming for me looking around going, oh, I know these names, I know these books. I've read about 80 of the books before SPFBO started, and I knew there were some really great books in that roundup, and I was like, oh. So how did you guys feel?
It was super nerve-wracking. Yeah, it was super nerve-wracking. I think, so I'm on Bookborn's team, and I think I saw in their update that I'm one of the 3 or 4 that are being read this month. So I was like, get it done right away. And then all at the same time, I'm like stalking every day and trying to see updates. And yeah, I think because I hadn't expected as much of the community side of things, I don't think I knew what to expect with just with all of that. And it's been exciting and probably way too much adrenaline and coffee and late night up reading and checking. So yeah, it's been good. We're excited.
So a little bit of lurking for AE. Like, I know some people are like, we're productive lurking where we're writing and editing and also watching. And then some people like me are like, life has hit me and I haven't even been able to look. Somebody make a summary every week and tell me who's still around.
Oh, me too. I had an illness literally that started the day after I posted and ended up with a hospitalization. So I wasn't on. I didn't know about the community or any of that. And after I started getting back on, it just was like literally hundreds of notifications on my page. Just so going back through. So it's been kind of an adrenaline rush catching up and then seeing all of that. So I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Now, the lurking's been great because I'm up at 3 a.m. with a baby every morning. So it's like, okay, I'm going to sit here with my baby and I'm going to go through, because like the Covers with Cassidy team, there's, including Cassidy, 7 bloggers. So I'm like, okay, 3 a.m. is when I'm going to systematically go through each one of them and see who's updated their Goodreads, who's posted videos. And it definitely makes those 3 a.m. wake-ups just like a little bit better.
The weekly wake up with MT Zimney. Here we go.
Yeah.
Colin telling you. You can tell us what happened.
Kind of lets you know how many talented authors are out there, that this one contest has collected this many people and all these, books that look really impressive. So it's a little, it's humbling, in a good way, and, a little intimidating, but, yeah, that's the part that's taken me by surprise is just all the people and all the good-looking books,
Yeah, and I can't remember what the time was. It was some ridiculous time when it all filled up, didn't it? So you wonder how many more books there could have been out there. It is crazy.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, I think I entered 90 minutes after the contest started and I barely made it in. And I thought I was being paranoid, doing that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it filled in like under an hour, I think. And then they left it open for a little while to let others come in case something didn't work out with some of the other books. But yeah, Jamie, how about you doing this year versus the other years you've been in?
Well, I think it definitely is. It's Covers with Cassidy's first year doing it, isn't it? And I like the way she's organised it, because I think the book is in, each of our books is in two, with two of her team, is how they've done it. So that means that our books are actually getting looked at by two people, which is amazing, really. As I said before, the amount of attention these books are getting these days is incredible, really. So it's just another sort of, I think the thing you learn putting your book out there is how, although we're in the same, in theory, genre, how much variety of taste there is within that genre, and how books can be one book be appreciated and then not by somebody else, people who all enjoy the same genre. So that chance for your book to get looked at by two people is pretty cool. And then I think each of those individuals then passes their choice on to Cassidy, who then looks at whatever's the 6 or 5 or 6, whatever, who've been selected. So I think that I've never seen it done like that before, and I thought that was a good way of organising it.
Yeah, and I'm in Fantasy Book Critics this year with my book, The Violet Twisted Fate, and it's very similar, where they've had not two people reading the same book, but they've split our books up into these mini groups. I want to say of like 5 or 6 books each, and have the different people then say, here's the one that I liked, in that group. And so it gives, like you said earlier, Jamie, those chances a little more, or those books a little more of a chance to be seen, to be talked about before they decide on the one.
Yeah. But even with all that, you've got to, as an author, you've got to just say, well, it's obviously there's a lot of great books that come out of SPFBO, but then there's a lot of great books that aren't lucky. They end up with someone who just doesn't vibe with that. Could be anything in that book that they don't vibe with. Couldn't necessarily be a genre thing. Could be characters, setting, etc., etc. So with all the sort of fun and excitement, you've got to kind of take a step back and say, well, it's going to be one person's view, and that's, don't sort of get too emotionally attached, because it's a brutal contest.
Yes. So we've been doing this fun thing on the panels, and I'm going to let Rob kick us off on this one. But if you've been watching the other panels, you know what's coming. It's time for the Easter egg. We have been going through main characters, villains, best friends, holidays, just all these little fun things about our books. And on this one, we're going to talk about what is your villain's favorite childhood memory, even if it doesn't necessarily show up in the book. And Rob, I'll put you on the spot. If you didn't know that and you don't have one ready, I can skip to somebody else.
Okay, it's tough. My villain is technically the god of war. Didn't really have a childhood. Was just kind of created as the god of war. So I'm not really sure how to answer that one, to be honest.
Just favorite memory in general, then. We'll let you think about it a little bit. I feel that.
just favorite memory in general. I don't know, but it's the god. Probably the moment he became the Lord of Heaven. In the book, there's sort of the way the mythology works is every 100 years they have a contest to decide who's going to be the Lord of Heaven for the next 100 years. And that means that they get to be more prominent, more in power than the rest of the gods. So I think it would probably be for Batu, the god of war, the moment he killed the previous Lord of Heaven and became the new Lord of Heaven.
Nice.
But yes,
I love mythology.
It's a hard one. He didn't have a childhood. He was just born the god of war.
Yes. Got to skip all the teen angst and just be who he is. Congratulations, villain. Whoever wants to jump in next. Villain's favorite childhood memory, or if they don't have a childhood memory, favorite memory.
I'll go for it. My villain is Bishop Araman, and I think his favorite childhood memory was having a really special moment with a person that the child as a child he was in love with. And so they were together one night, and this crush of his played an instrument for him and sang him songs. And he later loses that love, and I think is searching for that love ever since. And so that's like a treasured memory.
Wow. I feel sorry for your villain now.
Me too. Got ups and downs.
Those are the best ones, though. The ones where you're like, I can see you as a person, and I feel bad for you, but I still can't condone what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can go next.
Awesome.
So my villain, of course, is the Captain Hook, and he does not really. You'll find out in book 3 he did not have a great childhood, which is what led him to becoming who he was. But his favorite memories would be all of he's my favorite character to write, and I really love delving into him and just kind of what makes him tick and why is he so brilliant and his strategy. And so what I did is I found real historical battles or events to make a plausible backstory for Hook. And so a lot of his favorite memories would be kind of the clever military escapades that he did to best everyone and become. He consoles himself while he's in Neverland of he constantly reminds himself and dwells on these of how he's calls himself the infamous Captain Hook, and reminds himself, and as the reader you get to see some of these fun flashbacks and just his military strategies and why he really is a pretty dangerous foe and enemy. So that would be it for him.
Love. Yeah, I love that. It makes me think of the Captain Jack Sparrow, but you have heard of me.
Yes, he was very much a mashup between kind of Captain Jack Sparrow, but I also love sci-fi. And if you know the Thrawn series from Star Wars at all, definitely was very inspired by Thrawn. And so he's a master at studying how people work, and then being a history buff like Napoleon Bonaparte, and so just some of these great strategists, I kind of mashed them all up, and then I added in as many evil traits as I could. And on top of that, and then he has a huge ego, and that's literally between his ego and his revenge. That's what helps him survive and fuel that through an eternity stuck in Neverland. So they definitely keep him going.
Mm-hmm. And Nathan's cat's like, I have a favorite memory for the villain.
He's dropping in. Sorry, I'm trying to keep him away.
Oh, that's okay. I don't know. Does everybody else who has pets? All right. I was going to say, I think almost every writer I've met has had a pet.
He's
or
walking
written about a pet if they didn't have a pet. So
he's very rude.
the cats have to be in the limelight all the time. So yeah, Belinda, MT, Jamie, what about you guys?
I am. Well, my villain is a 2,000-year-old immortal warrior, but he did have a childhood. And it's revealed in the second book that he really loves to bake. So I imagine that love goes all the way back to ancient Rome. I'm not sure how great the baking scene was in ancient Rome, but I'm sure that is where he started his love for it. So that and like manipulating people. So
I love it, the evil baker.
Yes, it's so fun to like write these scenes where he's being like absolutely horrible and evil, and he's just like making a souffle as he's doing it. So,
the master plan came together in the kitchen.
Oh yes, he has a really nice kitchen too. So
awesome.
I always think it'd be like really fun to come up with a whole recipe book as like a companion book to buy, like, oh, it's Ressus's evil recipes. But I don't know who would be into that. I would be into it, but that's a small audience.
Well, my main villain remained hidden for much of book 1. And so we're not very well acquainted at the moment. But I imagine that his favorite memory is either when he's destroying my heroine in a previous life, or you know, as a kid with his brother, and yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring more of that in book 2 because that's where we're going in book 2. But yeah,
I'm getting Zelda vibes a little bit from that previous life in the.
not quite Zelda. Actually, one of the inspirations for this particular series was Sailor Moon.
Oh,
So if you kind of think
yes!
Sailor Moon meets Game of Thrones, you're kind of getting there. Yeah,
Nice.
That's a hell of a mashup.
it is quite a bit of a mashup, and I blame very cutesy Sailor Moon fan art because I hate cutesy. So I spent far too long looking at it one weekend at a pop culture convention, and very bad things happened. So
They took all the monies. So Jamie, how about your villain?
Yeah, well, like Rob, my big bad is a god, but there is a sort of I don't know what you call them, like the first level boss in book 1, who's a young man who's inherited the throne. His father died a hero, and then his sort of kingdom was torn apart, and he's really been fearful of the same thing happening to him ever since. So he's sort of this, slightly screwed up, ultimately weak character. So his happy memories are all up to the age of 6. Then after that, it's just terrible. Yeah. So his memory is a happy family, up to the age of 7.
Well, that's awesome. So we've got a lot of.
Well, everybody's got to be screwed up, haven't they?
But somebody deserves to start out with a happy family memory. So many fantasy books
even if it's
don't
just for
have
a
happy
short
family
while,
memories. But yeah, this has been great. I know we're a little over on time, so we're going to do the last one sort of fast. But for everybody who wants to follow these authors to find out more about their books, all of their links are in the description box, along with the link to their SPFBO book specifically. So you can get them, you can read them, you can leave them an honest review, which would be most appreciated. You can follow the bloggers, Covers with Cassidy and Bookborn. I've got those linked there too. Just any and all SPFBO news you want. It's all in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter, a lot of these authors are on Twitter too. But before we go, if you could tell us in just a couple sentences, what should people be watching for from you over the next 5 months while we're waiting on the semifinalists and finalist announcements for SPFBO?
I have a very ambitious release. I'd like to get the next 2 books of this series out and launch the next one before I have my baby. So yeah, so MT, I can totally relate with you on the late night stuff. So yes, I have a lot, actually 2 series coming out in addition to this. So I'm trying to front load a lot of that as I can.
I have another couple of short story collections coming out in the next 5 months, and not another novel yet, but next year, and yeah, a Kickstarter also. So it should be fun.
There are so many good Kickstarters that are going right now. I'm going to go broke. Like I just supported one for Christina Wallace last week, and I was like, it's all so pretty, all the stuff.
Well, I am working on hopefully getting an audiobook developed for my series. So there's a bit of a learning curve there because I can't afford a narrator, but I've got a minor in theater arts. Like I can do it. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, also planning, hoping to get an audio version out of my book. Yeah, in that time frame, and the final book book 2 of the series is already published. So the final book would be nice if I got that out by the end of the year.
And Nathan, Rob, what's coming?
I've got book 2 coming out on July 31st, and then book 3 at the end of November. And hopefully start getting some paperbacks out. We'll see. I'm not sure how much time I'll have, but it's all ebooks right now. So, yeah.
I will hopefully be launching a Kickstarter in the next 5 months for a next big epic fantasy saga, which I'm writing. So hopefully that'll be in the next 5 months. I'm just trying to pull pieces together, like get artwork ready and all sorts, and it's a lot of work.
It's exhausting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fun, and the swag is awesome.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Hopefully, yes. I'm trying to get a lot of swag together. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Yes. And I wish I had done this before SPFBO, but like I said, I wasn't sure how involved this was going to be. But I was actually in the process. So this is my SPFBO novel. I'm getting the cover redone because this one looks a little too YA, and my book is not YA at all. So it's getting some. When there were YA readers, there were some interesting reviews. They're like, this is a little mature. I was like, it is. I never meant for it to be YA. But actually, so the designers showed it off yesterday. So the new cover is going to be launching for that. I'm taking down all the old editions. I'm putting up a brand new edition with like deleted scenes at the end and everything in July. But yeah, that's sort of what's going on there. So I've marked the paperbacks as low as Amazon will let me mark them for now, and the ebooks for 99 cents. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna get all these out that I can. Goodbye first editions, start all over with the second edition. But Melissa says, can't wait to add these to my TBR and keeping my fingers crossed for those audiobooks. Good job, authors. Thank you, Melissa. Oh, and Tori says, good luck, everyone. Good luck. Yes, good luck, everybody, especially you too, Tori. Tori is also participating in SPFBO9 this year and has been a very vocal voice in the community. Yeah, so if you're watching and you want to read, you want to get all the books, you can get all of these authors' books in the description box, as I said, or you can go check out Mark Lawrence's blog or Zach Argyle's blog for a full list of all the books. And Zach's, you can filter by audiobook if you're looking specifically for audiobook. But thank you all so much for joining. It's been such a pleasure to meet everybody.
Thank
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thanks, Katherine.
My pleasure. If you're wanting to meet more SPFBO authors, come back tomorrow. We have 2 more live chats. I'm getting ahead of myself by a week. Live panel chats specifically for SPFBO. And then next weekend is the 2nd annual Summer Blitz, where we're going to have 3 days, over 15 different panels of indie fantasy authors, over 40 different guest authors tuning in live to read their books out loud live, to talk about why they're writing their genre and what they write. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
you.